Yes, I think we miss Bianca, Inge. I mentioned 2 until now. Maybe we missed.
Okay.
So I'm not sure if they're joining or not. I don't know.
But we are 11 and I'm counting 8. And 9 with me. Okay. Sorry.
Classic. And Daniel is joining as well. Cool.
Hey guys, good morning.
Hi Daniel, good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Morning.
Have we started?
Not yet. We're waiting for you.
Yeah, okay, sorry. Just saying hi to class 14. It's their first time here.
Sure.
Yeah, okay. Then thank you for setting up the call, Zaki. I think that thing about recording it locally is a miss. Or at least I can.
It's what, sorry? You're dropping out of it?
The option of recording it locally on your computer, I think.
Unfortunately, your connection is really bad.
Yeah, your voice is not clear, Daniel.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, maybe it's better now.
Yeah, okay. I'm without video now. Yeah, I was saying that thank you for setting up the call, and I think that option of recording it locally doesn't really work, or at least as I haven't found it.
Yeah, I think one of the things with recording locally is also like, for instance, right now when we had like connection troubles and stuff like that, I think stuff like that will work better.
Yeah,
recording it remote.
Yeah, that's a very good point.
But I mean, I think Mohammed is recording this as well locally, so we have a backup. But I'm going to start the recording here now. Yeah. Cool. It's running.
Yeah. Well, what I would propose is to look at one of the database pull requests was already merged, right? And we have 2 left. Yeah. So I would propose going through that. And then looking at the seeding, just to understand if we have any mistakes there, and any changes that we need to do on the migrations as well. And then we start with the endpoints and with Swagger. What's your take on that, Zaki?
It sounds all right. So what do you want to do? Do you want us to do code reviews here in class, or what were you thinking?
Yeah, just going through the PRs. I think they're quite simple. So
yeah, we can definitely set aside some time for that. And how about demos? Where are we in terms of that?
Yeah, I asked in the channel for the groups to pick a representative, so it's a little bit easier.
Yeah. So we don't go through everything like last time.
Yeah.
Okay. Because you think probably start with the demos then?
Yes. Who's going to take the lead on this? Students, I mean.
I can start present.
Yeah, very good.
And for the rest of you who are demoing, make sure you have it ready to run.
Now we worked me, Swati, Lucia, and Bianca on 5 tables in the main database. And let me just, yes, that's it. And no, we made a pull request for it. We face no problem, but just we want to understand how to make foreign keys with the tables.
Yeah, and what's the pull request, Amir?
It's I'll check the number. It is 58.
58. Okay.
Yes.
Cool. So maybe if you start out just like, do you have a migration right now that can run without the foreign keys?
Yes.
Okay. So can we just see what that migration does?
Okay. Let's see here.
So in the meantime, so about like demoing technical stuff, it really depends on your team how you will do it. Quite often when you have demos as a software team, you might have like outside stakeholders. You might have like product owners. Sometimes you have like managers from around the organization. They may be not super interested in seeing you demo database migrations, but it's kind of up to the team, because quite often what you have to kind of decide, are you doing the demo for the team, or are you doing the demo for the stakeholders? And if you're doing it for the team, maybe it's valuable for the team to know exactly how are you running these particular migrations and stuff like that. So that's something you discuss inside the team. In this case, this is all about learning how to work with the project. So obviously we're open to demoing some technical stuff, but generally demos are about showing how things, showing that things work, not so much in detail about how. But sometimes we go a little beyond that.
Okay. So now what do I have to do now then?
Try to share your screen first of all, so we can. So I think a good demo for like a migration is just to, if you already have the migration, if you already did run it once, then you can like migrate back, and then you can migrate forwards, and we can see the change in the database and verify that it's changing the right stuff.
Okay. But I didn't mean it to it.
Alternatively, you can also just like wipe your database and you can run it up, and then you can run it down again.
Saki?
If you
While Amer set up and shared his screen, I make you a question. When you say
can't hear
clean
probably
up-
right now. There's a lot of noise.
Yeah, but it's not in my house.
No, but someone else. I think it's okay now.
Can I ask you, because I had an issue with the database, and I really have to erase everything and go back. When we clean up the database, because we have any kind of mistakes and we want to run it again, we just delete it from MySQL. Because that's what I did. I deleted from MySQL and then I run again.
Yeah, when you say delete from MySQL, what do you mean? You delete the entire database, or what do you do?
I delete the entire database and then I put it up again by cloning the project again. I have to do it.
Cloning the project. That sounds. You don't need to do that. What I do is I just like run in MySQL Workbench or wherever you can run MySQL commands. You could do it on terminal as well. But what I run is I just do like drop database, treasure hunt, final project, whatever the database is called. And then on the next line, I do create database and then the same name. So I just delete the database and create the database again. And then after I've done that, I have to do npm run db setup. So db setup will run all of the migrations. So that means create all of the tables, and then we'll run the seeds.
You're doing npm run db setup?
Run db setup.
Perfect.
Yeah. So db setup is the same as first running Knex migrate latest, and then running Knex seed run, I think it's called, just to run the seeds.
Zaki, can I show can I explain my
you have a lot of noise. I can hardly hear you. Are you messing around with microphone somehow, or
what now? It's okay now.
It's much better now. Yeah.
It's now okay or not?
It's good now.
Okay. Can I explain about our vision? So before Amer, because I think Amer he doesn't repair the Hertz computer before now. So I can explain what we have in our group. So after that, Amer he can take his place if it's okay. I think that.
Sure, that's fine.
Is it okay, Amr? Amr?
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, thank you. I will share my screen. Just a minute.
Cool, thanks.
Screen. This. I share it. Yeah. Can you see it?
I can see myself.
Okay. Just a minute. I think you should accept my.
No, you're sharing your screen. It's just because I'm on your screen.
Okay. Okay. We are a group. In our group, and John and Kriti and Masudi and Masumi. We are four, and we should make two tables. This is the tables we should make it: game instance and actual answers. In our tables, we have this main and this the another one. In the first one, we have ID and the created ad and updated ad and delete ad. We don't need to use to create now this week because we have two foreign keys. For the first one, it's related to the users, and the another related to the game factory.
Yeah. And have you identified who is working with users in Game Factory, so you can keep a track on when they merge their stuff? You can
not yet.
Okay.
Not yet.
Yeah. Keep an eye.
Yeah. And another table. So we just have ID and created ad and updated ad and deleted ad. So our code. So. This is our code. This is the create game instance, and the another it's actual answers. Mm-hmm. So here it has ID. We make it increments automatically, and it's master key or yes. So and after that we show the score. Mm-hmm. Did tables for created. I'm sorry, columns for created. Columns for updated and another one for deleted. Sure, we don't need to be not a node, so not a node just for the created ad and updated ad and updated ad, and also sure it's will here for ID. And another for the another tables we have ID. So here this tables we don't need it. Sorry. So I'm just created for me. This is for foreign key. Increments ID and created ad and updated ad and deleted ad. That's it. And also we make some seeds, but we don't need it now. So just to be sure it's work with me. Now, yeah. So if I want to test it, so I will turn the I'm use this MySQL database program, so table plus, so I can test it here. It's easy. It is easier than Workbench. So so if I want to make what I want, if I want to put my tables in the database, so just set up npm run setup. So after that, I can show here all the queries that behind the process. So
and before you did this, what state were your database in? Did you delete your database entirely, or was it like just like one behind, or where was it?
Yeah, we doesn't have. I'm talking now. It's like I'm started as now. So I doesn't have any database in my my database.
Yeah, it was completely empty then.
Yeah, it's completely
okay. Empty. Yeah, and now you ran the migration. So now we should see the stuff that you showed in the diagram.
Yeah, exactly. Cool. So now it's empty here. So if I refresh it, so I can get the actual answer here, the table, the first one, the table, the first, the another one, and the module. It's already it has UR created. I don't delete it. So if I push it, if I click here, so I can see the seeds, the data I put it here to this seeds, like here, and also this is the second one. And if I want to delete my database, so I just clean it, or I just can another thing, another code I can try it now. So here I delete all my database. So it's empty now. If I want to change another thing, so I can run, for example, let's go back lattice, for example. So if I want to update something in my table, so I can run lattice, so it can again. If I want,
and then it won't have run your seed.
Yeah, exactly.
So that's the only difference.
Yeah,
but
exactly.
that's great. I've seen, and this was a really good demo. I like the fact that you go in the database diagram first and explain this is what we need to build.
Yeah.
And then you run the migrations, and then we go in Table Plus. In this case, it could have been MySQL Workbench. It doesn't really matter. But we just go in some sort of database tool, and then we compare and verify that you did the same as was in the database diagram. So that's perfect. Great demonstration.
Okay.
I have a question.
Yeah.
Because I pointed out this when I was checking some files. You're using datetime, but in the database we specified timestamp. So in our case, we decided to use timestamp.
Yeah, I read.
Consistent.
Yeah, exactly. There are article I had read it today, yesterday about that, about date times and timestamp. It's now we can use it, but I think Zaki, he can decide or he can explain more than me. But I'm just to say what I get information about that. I think it's now we doesn't have any problem with the both. But if you want to use your database for the future, for example, for after 50 years or 20 years or like that, so you should use date time. But because the expired date of timestamp, it's I think 37. I think that Zaki. Maybe that because
I'm not an expert on this, but I would think time would be the right one to use. So maybe that's actually something we need to update in the diagram.
Yeah. Okay. So
I have another question.
Yeah.
I'm looking here at your code because you have already merged it, and in create game instance table, you didn't add any of the foreign keys now.
Yeah.
But you did it.
And
create actual answers.
Exactly. Just a minute, I can show you what I mean. I just do it because here there are one of the foreign key. It's related to my my working game instance. So it doesn't affect any or doesn't defect all the tables, for example. Just here the relation between actual answers and the game instance. It's okay. We don't need it, but I think I did it. I thought I did it. Yeah.
That was exactly what I wanted. So if you have something where you rely on someone else to create that foreign key, don't create it before they have created the table. But if it's something where it's actually within your scope, if within the tables that you're building, then you should definitely try to finish the work.
I think you can. I think you can't make a foreign key if you doesn't have the table because next it's go it's executed the tables or by order. So it look of the first one and the second one and the third one and
it's because because MySQL have foreign key constraints where it'll actually go in whenever you make a foreign key, it will go in and make sure you don't set a foreign key to something that doesn't exist. So you need to have that table exist before you can make a foreign key, and MySQL will definitely make sure you don't do that. So
that's it.
Okay,
cool. That's awesome.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay, and you had questions about the foreign keys. Is that covered now?
Me or Mohammed?
I think it was actually Amir who started asking something about foreign keys, and then just do the demo first.
Yes. Should I show what we have did together?
But you were working with Mohammed, right?
No, I'm working with Lucha, Swati, Priyanka and yeah.
Okay, sure. Okay then. Okay, so in that case, please just go on.
Cool. We have made 5 tables. You can see my screen now?
Mm-hmm.
Yes. First, this is, I want to show the diagram at the beginning. Yeah. Yes.
That would be awesome.
The maps table, themes table, game factory, question, and answer choices. These 5 tables, it's our task. Yeah. We work on it. I made the map, and the other guys, they did these 4 tables. Mm-hmm. We did these files just right here, like this. This is the theme and the map. Game factory. Mm-hmm. Here is it. And question and answer question. But the question now, we have to assign the foreign key. But when Muhammad he's asked, now it's a little bit clearer than before.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, because we added the fields for the foreign keys, but we didn't relate to any foreign keys.
Yeah, I don't see any like references or anything like that here, and I see the key. So. Did you try doing that? Or you just didn't know that you should set up the reference?
No,
I mean, you're supposed to set up the references for the tables that you're building yourself, right? And I could see quite a lot of tables where you had foreign key references between tables that you were building now when you show me the diagram, right?
Yeah, because we were creating it step by step. We didn't assign into the foreign keys yet because we wanted to see what was going to be the general procedure in the class. So we put them in the code because we know we need to put them in, but we didn't relate it to it.
Okay, sure. Because if we take something now, like for instance, Game Factory, I can see you have a foreign key for pointing towards the map, right? And you have maps as well as part of your work, right? So maybe we'll just figure out how that one is supposed to work together. So let's have a look at the Game Factory migration.
Yes, it's just here.
Hello, everyone. I did the component for, I did the table for Game Factory, and I tried it with the foreign key first because I didn't knew that it will not run with foreign keys, which doesn't existed at that time. But it didn't let me, and then our group, we did a call, and then we discussed how we should do that, and then we decided to go and create a table without foreign keys. So then it let us created a table, and then we in my game table we have 3 foreign keys, and we created first 2 tables. Amir, can you show the table map?
Yeah, sure.
No, the screen, the database table map, which where
the diagram, the database diagram,
where it shows the connection.
Diagram, yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. So first of all, we did we did maps, and then we did themes, and then we tried to connect foreign keys with Game Factory, and I think we were successful by creating 2 foreign keys. But because we didn't had 1 foreign key, which doesn't existed in our task, so we let it go. We removed all the foreign keys and created all the fields without foreign keys.
Yeah,
because it doesn't make any sense if we create 2 foreign keys and not create that third one.
Yeah. So, and I would say. Right now, when you're kind of like waiting for each other, when you identify that there's like a foreign key where you need another table to be present, I would prefer if you don't create anything in your table at all, because right now you just created them as, I don't know, was integer fields or whatever. But that means that you actually have to go in and change those fields later on, so there'll be a proper foreign key reference. And that's a little annoying to do that with migrations. Yeah, so that's
a good
foreign key map ID there. You just did integer, right?
Yeah.
But in this case, this map ID is actually something that you can finish up. You can do this properly. So that was what I just wanted to walk you through, how to do that properly.
Yes.
If you go try to go to the Knex documentation.
To the Knex?
Yeah, Knex documentation. So knexjs.org.
Yes.
I don't know if I can link to a place in that documentation. So what we're doing right now is definitely beyond a demo, but I think it's worth it so everyone sees how to do this. Try on this page to search for foreign. Search on page. You can also use the navigation out on the left. I'm just too lazy to do stuff like that. Foreign is FOREIGN.
EIGN.
Yeah. And you got it there on the left, so you can just click on it there. Yeah. So you can see foreign here. You can see the syntax for creating a foreign key. I'm not sure that the unsigned part is necessary. I don't remember doing that before. Yeah. Well, maybe we should stick to the documentation anyway. And I think there's actually that's true. There's another syntax. You can use references instead of this one. I think that one is actually doing the unsigned part behind the scenes. So try to search for references.
This one you mean? Like this?
Oh, it's there. It's actually down there. I see now.
Yeah.
Okay. So I think this is correct. I'm just let me just take a moment to see in our previous projects what we did there. Daniel, do you remember?
There's two ways of doing it. One, it's
exactly.
when you write the field itself, and another one is like after the syntax of the table, like you do with the SQL, right? When you
and here we are actually creating it as an integer first, and then we're making it a foreign key, right? I think you can do that in one step, right?
Yeah, you can do it. Yeah.
So do you remember what the call is called?
I think it's this one that you have here.
Okay. I think that looks like it's two steps to me. Let me just dig out an old migration to check. Quite often with these migrations, I'm just like checking stuff that we did before, and you're always welcome to try and go and dig around in the previous projects that we did. Of course, it's like other students who did there's no guarantee that they did it right, but usually it's been reviewed, so it should be pretty good. Yeah, I'm seeing something here where they actually are not even using references. So I think that's not correct. Okay, let's just stick with what we have there in the documentation. So let's just try to use that. So if you just like copy those two lines, you don't need the top and the bottom line because we have that already, right?
Exactly. The thing is, if you take like the second table, so you say table.integer, and then you have what it had. Okay, now you changed the screen.
Here. Sorry. Yeah, it's my mistake.
Okay. You have table.integer, and then you discriminate stuff, right? And you say unassigned. And as you can see in what I shared on class 12, you just put dot and primary and unassigned, and you just follow the.
Yes,
so you can skip
that. That's the one I was looking for. Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah. That's for primary key, but you can do the same. Let me check.
No, okay, sorry. No, that was primary key. That wasn't foreign key. Oh, okay, yeah.
That's just a primary key.
I want to just stop sharing my screen.
I have one here from a previous project.
Yeah.
Let me copy that one in.
But I think the one that Mohammed shared, isn't that right?
That Mohammed did?
Yeah.
Table.integer game you, for example, unassigned, and then table.foreign.
Is that the same? It's not exactly the same. This is the one that I found in one of the previous projects. I think that's the simplest way to do it.
But it's the same, Zach. It's the second line of Mohammed. It's just
table.foreign references. Oh yeah, it is. You're right. It's the same. Okay, cool. Yeah. So I'm gonna take that back, and you can use the example from Mohammed.
The plus with your, Zach, is that actually you named the field FK, and that's important for us to keep it.
Yeah, true. Make sure the names are correct. Yeah. Okay, so let's try to do that one then. You're not sharing your screen anymore.
Yes, just a second.
Okay.
I don't know why it's not connected to the database now. Something going wrong. So if someone else would to do something, I just want 2 minutes to fix it.
Okay. Yeah. Should we? Yeah. So someone else want to demo now? But I mean, overall feedback is you should make sure that all of the foreign key references that you had like within your own PR, that those are in place before you're ready to merge. And then maybe if the point when you merge your stuff, if someone else has merged some of the tables that you have as dependencies, then you can add that as well.
Hello.
Yeah.
Niels here. I just wanted to say hi. I've been here all the time.
Hey, Niels. Nice to hear you.
Foreign keys.
Yeah.
Bengu, do you want to show us the seeds? Or Lucha, maybe?
Yes, I can show the seeds.
Cool. Yeah. That would be awesome.
I'm sharing my screen. Are you seeing my screen now?
I can see your screen, yes.
Yes.
Yeah. I created the seeds for 10 tables. And I created them in order of dependency, constraint dependency. Yeah. And I started with the less requirement one that doesn't have any other dependencies except ID. And the three of these tables, roles, users, and teams, didn't require any constraints, so they are the first three ones to be seeded. And then the rest required some dependency, so I created them in order to that. And I didn't create one for actual answers because that will be user input. So that's missing here.
Yeah.
But I had actually a problem when I was creating the PR for the seeds. Because the column names, they are not camel case. So it complains when I try to commit my changes in my branch. I can maybe show the error.
I mean, Daniel, did we fix the database so stuff is not camel cased anymore? Are we still doing camel casing?
We talked about it at some point, and Bengu had told me this, and I actually said that I would see it with you in class.
Yeah.
I don't remember what we did with
because we decided to stop doing camel casing in the database, and now I realized I guess you're still doing it, right?
Yeah, I can show maybe my error.
Yeah.
Can I ask you something? Because
Sure.
I was working with
Yeah,
Bengu.
we are camel casing still. Okay, yeah. Yeah, sorry.
Yeah, that we were working together in this with Bengu because I did first the JSON and then we did the seeds. But according to what we established and how are we going to name the things, it doesn't say that we should do camel case in the database. And we have already write all the fields in this one. So
Exactly, yeah. I'm pretty sure that I changed the guidance for naming, so it should not be camel case, but we used to do camel casing always in the database. But it's super annoying because JavaScript will start to complain when we do camel casing because we set it up to do oh, sorry, did I say camel? No, I'm losing track.
Snake.
So we set it up to do camel casing, but here we're doing snake casing, right? With the underscore. Yeah.
We changed from camel case to snake case on the last project, Zaki.
We did the other way around, right?
Well, it was camel case, and then we changed to snake case because I can see the VB here for the last project. They're all snake case.
Yeah, in the last project we were still doing snake case on the backend side, and then I think we set it up so we fairly quickly would transform that to camel case once we got into the JavaScript domain, because that's the annoying part if we want to enforce that people call stuff correctly in JavaScript. Then it's really annoying that all the stuff that comes from the database is in a different convention. So I think we managed to set up somewhere where we had like a similar to a middleware where we just like change all of the keys. At least we discussed doing that. But the point was that it would be much smarter, which we just like doing camel case all the way through from the database all the way through. But apparently we're not doing that in this project. And I don't think we should change it now because people already have like a ton of pull requests out there with names for the database. It's too frustrating to change all of that in migrations. Okay, so we're sticking with snake case for the database stuff, and then I think we need to do the same as we did in the past project, that we need to set up a way to transform that into camel case as soon as possible when we get into JavaScript. Yeah, I see. Yeah, so this is exactly what's happening, that you're getting a warning that this stuff is not camel cased in your seed files. Okay, so in your seed files, this, given that the database is like it is right now, we should not start to worry about like changing that to camel case. What you can do here is you can set a little rule that where you can tell ESLint to ignore this stuff. So if you just go on the first line in the file now.
Here.
Yeah, very first line, and add a new line and at top, and then do a comment. So // and then a space, and then I think it's called ESLint-ignore. ESLint in one word, and then -ignore.
Okay.
And I'm not sure, but I think you need to have a space before ESLint.
Oh, okay.
Probably not necessary, but I'm not sure. And then after that, I think it's space. Then I think it's like, how does it look like? It's the rule is okay. So you can see the name of the rule down in the terminal. If you scroll, so you can see the errors in the terminal, errors warnings. So you can see out on the right side, you can see the name of the rule is TypeScript-ESLint/camel case. So you need to copy that. And then put that in double quotes, if I remember right.
Like this?
I think this should tell ESLint to ignore this rule for this file, but I'm not entirely sure. Try to run ESLint again and then see if this file is taking out of the errors. You will still get errors for all the other files. Then in the meantime, I'll Google ESLint-ignore to make sure we use the right syntax.
Yeah, it's not
maybe
complaining
it's
anymore.
maybe it's actually it's not right. It's so did it take that file out? Did it work?
Yes, it is not complaining anymore about the 10th file.
Okay, because I'm pretty sure it should have been ESLint disable and you should do it without the quotes, but maybe both work. That would be interesting to learn.
Yeah, it is not complaining anymore about the 10th file. It is just complaining about the rest.
I'm surprised. Apparently we got it right. I can just see another project we used ESLint disable, but maybe it does the same.
So I will just go and copy paste the rest of it, right?
Exactly, copy paste that one to the other files, and you're allowed to use that in the seed files. And once we get to read the data, I guess you're allowed to do it in the controller files, and then from there you should transform the data or something. I'm not entirely sure, but the first file that like consume the data, and then you should be transforming it. But I think we'll probably have to set up an example for you to see how to do that.
Okay, yeah. I'm just trying again for the other file.
Yeah, so just add that for the other files. And another thing is that these things are just warnings. These things are not errors. So this would not actually stop ESLint from running. Did it try to scroll down again? Because I think you did actually have an error. So that's a question.
No, I have an error. Actually, for questions file too. Now, even though I edit ESLint ignore, it complains.
Yeah. So but try to scroll way to the bottom because it will give you a summary of how many warnings, how many errors. A little more up. Yeah, here. You have 2 errors, so you need to find the errors up there in the log and fix those errors. So the warnings you can get away without fixing. The errors you always have to. And all of the camel casing stuff is not that critical, so we set that to warning level. But it's annoying to have it like flood that error thing because then you can't find the actual errors, right? So it's just adding noise. So that's why I wanted to add that ESLint ignore thing. But of course, the errors you're not supposed to ESLint ignore. It should be real errors. So maybe you can just search for error inside the console.
Yeah, but I think the ESLint ignore right now doesn't work for questions file. It only works for answer choices file.
Yeah, it only works for that specific file. You need to add it to all files where you.
But I edit to questions, and questions still is complaining because there. I don't know how it happened, but when Prettier runs in the seed files, it automatically translates them to without quotes, so it is not in JSON file format now. But with the answer choices, it is actually that way. I don't know why it decides to not to do that to this file.
Sorry to jump in, but remember Vengu yesterday we made a trial in my computer with roles, and we edited with Prettier, and then we ran the seed, and the seed actually got into the database. So it's true that it takes the quotes away, but because it's a Kinex file that is doing an insertion, it works like that. So
I mean, a JavaScript file. This is just JavaScript file. This is not a JS file. So this stuff would work with or without quotes.
Yeah, but I don't know why, but Prettier doesn't fixes this one. For example,
that's strange that it doesn't do the same to those 2 files because everything should be the same.
Usually when Pretty is not running, it's because there's another mistake. There's like an issue with the file. That's what I've been finding, that it's a syntax error. So then Prettier is not going to work. I can review it because I think I have it.
You have your error here.
Yeah.
Useless past segments should be okay. So it's about how you are importing some stuff. And empty components are self-closing. Okay, so you just need to fix those 2 small errors, and you could like look up what it is. It's exactly just by like Googling for import no useless path segment or for React self-closing comp.
Okay, but the map file is actually not mine. It is what
so someone else managed to merge that. But generally, if you see stuff like that, you have to fix it anyway. So if someone else doesn't fix their stuff, then you end up getting, and then essentially everyone ends up getting it, which can be a bit of a problem because if people then start fixing it different ways, then you can have conflicts. So that's why you should generally never use the ignore checks. What is it called? Ignore.
Okay.
Yeah, the one where you disable ESLint and Prettier. I only ask you to do that a couple of times because we needed to, because otherwise you cannot share it on Git for me to see it. So.
Yeah.
Okay, but I don't think we should go further into debugging here. You can run these seeds, right?
No, I mean, yes, they were working.
Yeah, they should be able to run without those errors there being in the way. So can you demo that?
Yeah, but I need to check the next seed run, I guess. Oh, we did it in Lucha's computer because my computer
you can do it. You can do it. So right now you are in the root of the project, right? You need to be in. You need to be in the server folder. Source server. Yeah. And now you're in the server folder. Now run the same command from before, but run it with npx first. Yeah. Okay, so there's a problem there. So your number 7 seems to have a problem.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
That is empty.
This is an empty one.
Yeah, but let's not mess around more like while real life. I just want to make sure, is anyone in doubt why we need seeds and what they do? So just to make sure, so the reason that we have seeds is that an application gets really annoying to work with if you just have an empty database. Then you have no users. You might have have to set up a map or something like that. You won't have any data in your application, right? So at the very least, when you're testing stuff, you need to have some test data. And the way we set up seeds is then the way that we can add test data to our application. And you can also see that we have 2 folders out there. We have a folder that's called development, and we have one that's called production. And that's because you won't have real test data when you go in production, when you have the application running for real. Then you probably want your users to create the data. But maybe you still want to have a few things that are created beforehand to get you started. So that's why we have a folder for production seeds. So, yeah. Any questions about that?
No, I think we can just work on this between today and tomorrow, and we can finish it with Pengu. Okay.
Also, another comment is it's very nice that you added numbers in front of the names because it will run the seeds in alphabetic order. And it does matter what order things are running because of all of the foreign keys and stuff like that. What I did, I actually made a scheme where I had 2 numbers, then an underscore, and then or I think it was 3 numbers and then an underscore and then 2 numbers. The reason being that sometimes after the fact, you figure out that you need to squeeze a migration in between two other migrations. So imagine that someone creates a new table that has a relation between maps and user roles. You need that seed to run before maps. No, after maps, but before user roles. And then it gets kind of annoying having to figure out a name for that. So that's why I made that that naming convention. I don't think it's very likely with a project like this, and you can always rename it. Fortunately, seed files are not as annoying to work with as migrations because you can change seed files. You can edit the files directly rather than migrations where you have to go in and revert changes. But you can consider adding that.
Zaki, we don't need to push our seeds in our project, or we need to push Knex? Or no?
You mean whether the seed files should be on GitHub, or what do you mean?
Yes.
Seed files should be on GitHub. So the point is that Bengu has now created test data for all of you to use. So once this PR has been pushed and merged, then next time you run npm run db setup, then magically your application will have data in it.
Okay.
And of course, you can go in and you can add more data if you want to have something specific to you. You have to do that manually in the database, and that will disappear once you delete the database, right? And that's another reason why seeds are important, because when we're testing migrations, you remember that quite often we delete the database. And then it gets really annoying if it's something that you spend a lot of time sitting, clicking around an application and creating the actual data, right?
Yeah.
So, yeah. Cool. And any questions?
No.
I have a question, actually. I don't know if you can see my screen right now. Can you see it still?
Yeah, we can see this.
I can't find it, but I found one file regarding creating migrations online in GitHub, and it was using promises to insert foreign keys.
Yeah.
In the script. Are we going to use that kind of technique?
I think we are using promises.
I mean, it was like using first and the second and the third because of the foreign key dependencies. But right now we are having one single promise running in the script.
Okay. Yeah, but that I don't think it should be necessary to make promises specifically for foreign keys, because it's not like we are. I mean, a promise is something like you say you want to do something when something happens, but it's not like, yeah, okay, maybe you could like use promises and then you can have the catch statement. So no, that doesn't make sense, because the point. Okay, so I was thinking, okay, so what if someone adds a table in 2 days? Maybe you could have it like automatically create that stuff for you that you need, but that's not going to work, because the migrations is like a script that you run here and now, and then it dies after that. So I don't see the point. But if you have the link somewhere, you're more than welcome to send it, and I can have a look at it. Maybe it does make sense. But generally, every time you call Knex, it is returning a promise. But that's just a promise because, like, databases may not answer like right away. There's probably like a few milliseconds of delay or something like that. So that's why you consider database interactions to be asynchronous. So everything going through a database should be asynchronous. And Knex takes care of that for us, so we don't really have to worry much about that.
Okay. So we don't need to design it ourselves. Knex already designed.
No, with the foreign key stuff, it sounds strange. I don't think so, but if you can find it, let me have a look at it and see if it's relevant.
Okay, I will send it later.
Cool.
Saki, I got a question.
Sure.
When we create our Knex file to make the migrations, what we did we did a call. We all wrote the code, but we did it in one computer, right? In Swati's computer. And then she made the pull request. So then we knew everything was together. But the thing is, like now, for example, Amer is having the issue and I am having the issue. What I did, I create the branch locally. I made a pull request. And then that works for creating the migrations in the database, but I can't roll back because I don't have migration files.
Okay, how did you get the changes in your database?
I create the branch, of course, the same naming as we did with Swati, and then I make a pull request.
Okay, you shouldn't really be making making different branches with the same names, because then we have collisions if you push them. So what you should be doing is you should be pulling Swati's branch. And when you pull Swati's branch, then you will have her migrations in your branch, or on your locally, you will have her changes, and then you can run the migrations there.
But that's what I did.
Okay, good.
Yeah, me too.
Now I think I understand what the problem is. Okay, so maybe you were working on some other migrations locally, and then if you pull her branch, then run the migrations, then it might tell you that your Connect stuff is corrupt. Because if you run some up migrations in your local one that Swati's branch does not know about, then it will register that you have been running some migrations in the past and cannot see the files for those migrations because those are on another branch.
Yes,
so
that's
for
what
that
happened to Amr.
Okay, so for that reason, generally, when you switch branches and you're working with migrations, generally you should delete the database as well.
Okay, because that's what I did.
Yeah.
And then I made a pull on the Swati's branch. I created locally, but now when I want to try to roll back to make the demo, it doesn't allow me to do it because
you're stuck in a state where you had something happen on another branch. I mean, I think actually the most correct way to do it would be to roll back only the changes that you had in a given branch before you change to another branch. So if you have a branch here and you made some migrations and you ran an up migration, and that branch has not yet been merged to master, still work in progress, then you should roll back the changes that you made in that branch. So you make sure that your database is the same state as the master branch. And then you can check out Swati's branch. And then you can run her up migrations. And then when you verify that all is good and stuff like that, then you have to roll back her migrations again. So you get back to master. But my point is, if you're doing this, maybe it's easier just to delete the database in between. It's just a fast solution. And I mean, like, it also kind of like trains you to make sure that the migrations are always running, because there will be someone recreating everything from start to end with migrations, like all the time if you do it this way. And you also teach you to make sure that data that you need ends up in the seed files, because otherwise you'll be rebuilding it again and again and again. And hopefully if that happens, someone will be like, oh, maybe I should add it to the seed. So I think it's a pretty good way to train some discipline as well, in terms of like making sure the database always works.
Perfect.
So
thank you.
Yeah. That was a really good question, because that's something that you will run into and can be pretty difficult to figure out what's going on. Cool. What should we continue with now?
Okay, if we have the do they all have the goal now of doing the foreign keys, and they have the rules, right? Because we've talked about their PRs, the foreign keys are lacking, right? Are missing.
Yeah.
That has to happen, and then
exactly
has to go in, and then the next thing is creating the endpoints and the Swagger.
Exactly.
I just want to clarify something. How are we going to do the thing with the foreign keys? I'm going to wait for the first group to.
Yeah.
Okay. Are we going to respect certain?
So that was what we were starting to show together with Amir, right? So maybe we should finish that up. Amir, did you get your stuff running again?
No, I want to share the photo because I misfiled. That because as we mentioned, we made all our pull requests in Swati computer.
Yeah.
And now when I'm trying to run Knex, it's giving me missing files.
But that's exactly what we just discussed right now. So
I have to delete it.
So just delete the database and create it again.
Zaki?
Yeah?
Zaki, I just have to leave for half an hour. I'll be back in a second. Or half an hour.
Okay, cool.
Okay, but Zaki, how to delete it with the Knex? I mean, I did it right before.
Yeah, I looked into that a few times. Yeah, I really wanted to have like a script, an NPM script where you could really easily just delete your database. But apparently you need to have an extra package for Connects for that, and I haven't like gotten to set that up. So I just do it with MySQL, just like drop database and create database.
Okay. So I have to delete the final project database, all of it.
Yeah. And you can also do it just with the GUI like that. Just drop schema and then create it again.
Yeah, okay, cool.
I just have like a MySQL command that I've saved, and then I can just copy paste it because I do it so many times. So.
Mm-hmm. But this
remember to create the database again before you continue.
Okay, but here it was the question. The error migration directory is corrupt. This file is missing. Now, if I make a new database and npm run db setup, it will create all of this file for me, right?
It will just look at your directory there, and it would not know anything about anything that might have been there in the past. Because the reason that file there, that maps file, it knows that one is missing is because when Connects, if you look in the database, then Connects has its own table where it tells you what it has been running in the past, right? Mm-hmm. And if it sees something in that table and then it sees that you don't have that file anymore, then it will complain. So the same thing will happen if you run a migration, and after you run that migration, you change the name of that migration.
Cool. So I want to make a new database. Yeah. Share the screen for someone else till I finish.
No, just to continue, because then we can just set up the foreign key together, like we discussed earlier.
Okay. Where is the database? Yes, here.
Mm-hmm.
It was
what you called it? I don't think that was what you called it.
Check it was final low score project, low score DB Yammer. That's the name.
But to be 100% sure, what you need to do is you need to check your .env file in the project, and you can just copy it from there. That might be faster.
Maybe Saki, if I can do it in my system, I'm Swati, so I can just do the foreign keys. It's going to be easy rather than he doing it.
You can do it that as well. That's fine.
Yeah. What do you think, Amar? Can I take it over?
Yes, of course. I would.
Yeah, sure. Okay, that's good.
Go ahead.
Yeah. Okay. So I share my screen. So can you stop sharing? Yeah.
Okay.
Can you see my screen?
Yep.
Okay.
You have it zoomed up quite a bit, so we can't see so much code.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay, I'll just switch to my
control minus, I think.
Control minus. Okay.
Well, you have the editor selected. Yeah.
Yes.
That's much better. That's fine. Maybe it's getting a little small now. It's fine.
Okay, so I'll go to the other branch. Okay.
Where we come?
Sorry, my daughter is just around. She doesn't want to go, so she's just sitting with me. That's why you hear that noise.
That's all right. Maybe she's learning something too.
That's the youngest developer I've ever heard.
Changes. Oh.
Yeah. So you have something that you change. So maybe just you know how to use Stash, right?
I have not used it, but I have.
Okay, so let's just try it out.
Yeah.
If you go back to the terminal, you just do git stash, and then we'll take all the changes that you've not committed and just like put them away for later, and then you can get them back later.
Okay.
Just a little bit like copy paste, or more like cut and paste maybe.
Okay. Yeah. So now I should.
So now your branch is like clean, and then you can change to another branch.
Yep.
Oh.
Yes, I'm in the branch. Okay.
All right. So you probably want to also like delete and recreate your database, so we know that we're starting from scratch.
Okay.
Also because you just changed branch, right?
Yeah.
Stop it. I don't like it.
So I'll just open my MySQL.
I do
I'll
my
just-
hair. Okay. 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 What? Okay. Okay. Playing. Okay. No, stop playing. Okay. Okay. What's okay? Okay. Stop playing water.
Just a second.
Okay. Okay. My money, my little, my kiss my one and two. One and two.
Okay.
It's working now also in my computer. I delete the database and set up it again, and I have the tables set up
Maybe then
in the database.
Maybe then you can do it because since my daughter is around, you can hear the noise. It might be annoying, so sorry about that.
It's up to you what you prefer. It seems like you're in the same place now.
Yep.
Don't
Can
worry.
you do it, Amar? Or I can do it.
Yes, if you want, I can do it. It's okay, or we do it. No problem.
Okay.
Now the database is working.
Okay. Yeah, you can take it over. I stop sharing my screen.
Yes, Zaki, now I have the database set up.
Yeah.
I deleted and yes, 116 migrations, run one seed file. And
Yeah.
that's
But
it.
did
Okay,
you
so
add
you
the
actually-
migration? Did you
you
add the
run-
migration adding the foreign key, Summer?
No.
Yeah.
I just run the database as it was before, but now I'm at the foreign keys.
Yeah. So actually, I wanted to add the foreign keys before you ran the migrations, but
Yeah.
that's fine. But we need to delete the database again before we run that. But let's just go and create the migration that we need.
So should I drop the schema now?
Yeah,
Again?
you can do it now. Yeah, that's fine.
Okay. So drop it.
And then
Game Factory, for example, it has 3 foreign keys.
exactly.
Yes.
And remember, the only
let's
reason
start
that we
with the
can
map.
go back. Just remember, the only reason we can go back and edit in past migrations is that this stuff has not been merged, right? You didn't get this merged on GitHub, right?
No.
Cool.
It's just everything
Yeah.
is
So-
100% local. Yeah.
Exactly, yeah. So once it gets merged, you can never go back and edit old migration files. Then you have to add a new migration file later where you change all of these things.
Okay.
So the method was that you should. It's
Should I
okay
show
with
you
the
the
table
diagram?
integer, right?
What?
Yeah. So which table were we on here? That's Game Factory. So we need that's a map ID.
Yes.
Yeah. So you just basically need to make the call that Mohammed shared on Slack.
Cool.
And of course, like adapt it a little bit.
This one, table.int. Yes. But in this case, I have to put this in the map or in the game?
In game instance.
In game instance, not inside the map?
Try to take his code and copy it over into our code, and then we'll just figure it out together when we can see it all together.
Cool. Come on.
Yeah, it's a bit annoying.
Mm-hmm.
You're gonna make the foreign key for the map in game instance in Game Factory.
So now we are in the Game
yes,
Factory.
we're making a foreign key for map in Game Factory.
Yes,
that's correct. So you already have where you're creating the integer, right?
Yes, for foreign key map ID.
Yeah, and yeah, it should probably be unsigned as well, so we can add that .unsigned to it.
Okay, so. Yes.
And then after that, you take that integer and then you turn it into a foreign key.
like this line here.
Yes. Except of course you need to adapt it, right?
Yeah. Cool. So now I want to take this and put it here, and I have to change this to foreign key map ID.
Yes.
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 Like this, reference ID, it's correct, I guess.
In table maps.
In table maps, just maps. It's called with S, yes. MAPS, like this. Should it work now, you would think?
Yeah, I would think so. You just need to delete the lines down there, of course, right?
Yeah.
What is Lucia saying?
I was going to say to format just in case.
Yeah, sure.
Control the shift.
Yeah.
Actually, don't use the format command because maybe you end up using a different formatter than Prettier. Just use safe.
Okay.
Your editors should be set up so they format on safe.
Cool. So just give me 2 quick seconds. I want to make a new schema. It's called Muhammad. Just send it to me right now.
Well, it could be something. It could be a different name depending on what you call it. So you should copy it from your .env file. That's a source of truth.
Exactly.
Yeah. And if you wanted to, you're welcome to change that name. But
it's always this format, cassette, right?
To be honest, I'm not sure about.
I leave it default when I recreate it again, and it
Exactly. Yeah, I also just leave it completely default because I don't think it matters when we're developing, but I'm not actually sure.
Cool.
Apply.
Yes. There was an error. Why?
I think the kind of stuff you can run into is problem writing Danish characters, but that works with the default settings, so I'm like fine. And then I think there can be stuff like if you need to write emojis and text and stuff like that, then it can be a problem if you have the wrong one.
But it's not working now. I have to do it again, right? Because I didn't apply it. I have to put the default character.
I mean, is it better for you? It's easier for you if you use a query, so use a command line. So
yeah, that's quite a bit faster.
Yeah.
Okay, now it's done.
Okay, fine, yeah. And you can just copy that query from there and then just save that query and run that query every time you need to do it.
For the final project, you mean?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, every time you need to reset it, you can just have that query saved somewhere in a node and then go in the, because you have like a console here as well. Here, right here, you can run it. So
cool.
But that's fine. We reset it now. So let's try and run our migration. And remember, right now, the only thing we did is we were like telling that this is a foreign key. So we're setting up all of the foreign key constraints. And what happens with the down migration when we do stuff like that?
It will go one step back.
Yeah. Do we need to change? Now we changed something in the up migration. Do we need to change something in the down migration?
But we have deleted the database. In this case, I don't think we need to change, right?
I'm just asking you because the up migration and the down migration, those two things should always be the reverse of each other, right?
Yes, of course.
So I'm just asking you to check: is your down migration, is that satisfactory? If you run the up migration now, will the down migration take you back to the state you were in before?
So next migrate.
Okay, I give you the answer. The answer is yeah.
It will throw error, I think.
I just want to say two things. First of all, let's set up all the foreign keys that we already have because we have the foreign keys for Team ID.
Maybe let's just test it first, right?
And then the second thing, are you talking about in the down migration, including putting down the foreign key?
Would you do that? Would you do that? What do you think?
When I am writing, yes, I will put down the foreign key because that's what I saw in the documentation.
No, I wouldn't worry about it because we're deleting the entire table in the down migration. So we will end up in the same place anyway. So it's a little bit of a trick question.
Okay.
But it was just to remind you that when you change something in the up migration, just to remind you to make sure, hey, is the stuff that's happening in the down migration, is that actually like the reverse of what I'm doing, right?
Yeah. For example, create table and drop table. It's like here, export up and export down. That's it.
Yep.
So when we are up creating the table, next down it will drop that.
But if you had a migration that was renaming a field in a table in the up migration, then the down migration would have to rename it back to the error that it was before.
Yeah.
And that's something that people sometimes forget, because when you're doing a lot of these create table migrations, then the down migrations are really easy. Then you maybe forget, once you do have to do something that's a little bit different, then you might forget that that's actually different.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Oh, looks like it ran. So try to go to Table Plus. I think we should be able to see if it's like set up as a foreign key in there.
So this is the table. This is the game factory.
Yep.
And
I think you have to fold out the columns one, and then
is the foreign key map ID.
Map ID.
Sorry.
How can we see if it's actually a foreign key?
I think maybe use.
Sorry.
You can fold out a little further down. There's foreign keys. You can fold that one out. Out on the left side.
Oh, yes.
Further down. Right below there, below indexes.
Foreign keys. Yeah. Game factory, foreign key map.
Yeah. Cool.
ID.
So it did set it up, yeah.
Cool. So it's done now.
It's done. It's working.
Yes. So we have to need so we just have to add all the other foreign keys in the same way like this.
Yep.
But about the foreign keys from the other tables, other group, how to add it also in the same way, or
you have to wait until they have merged their changes. And if you already have that foreign key as an integer right now, without setting up the foreign key constraints like we just did it now, then I would like you to remove that integer, because otherwise you have to go back in and then add that as a separate migration. And if you add that as a separate migration, right? So if you already had a past migration that was creating that integer, and that one has been merged, so you kind of go back and edit that migration, right? So that means you have to run a new migration now, where you just turn this like completely regular integer field. You have to turn that into a foreign key constrained integer field, right? But then you also have to worry about writing the down migration that actually turns it back into like a completely normal integer field afterwards as well. And that's a little bit annoying to deal with. So that's why I'm saying, if you don't actually have the tables from the other groups that you need, just don't create the integer field at all, because then you avoid dealing with this stuff.
Okay.
It's just to save you a little bit of hassle, because some of these migrations, I think particularly the one here with like removing a foreign key, I remember that's something that I struggle with quite a few times. It's a little difficult to do that in Kinix. So
cool.
And it looks like Lucia is happy with the explanation. So
you should have sent this before.
Yeah, I didn't actually think that you would start creating those if you didn't have the sources for them, but yeah. Cool.
Okay.
I think we covered how to create foreign keys and how to deal with it with the other groups. So cool.
Yes.
Anyone else has any questions or anything? So
yeah,
I'm going to take my screen.
Any questions?
It's clear. Everything clear. Looks clear. Yeah.
That's awesome. Looks like Daniel is back. Should we continue with the program? Or maybe it's actually a good time to take the lunch break.
Daniel here, I think.
Yes. Maybe he just stayed in the call, and then I think so. Let's take the lunch break and then meet back at 2:00.
Okay.
Cool. Yes.
Oh, yes. Yes.
So
bye.
See you soon.
Yes.
Bye.
Thanks. Bye.
Yes. See you soon.